Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to the podcast. For those of the listeners and viewers that are interested in lead gen, I have Mark Newsome, and he's going to talk to us all about lead generation strategies. And I'm really happy to have him on. Mark, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Briefly introduce yourself, and we'll dive into the questions.
Okay, my name is Mark Newsome. I go by the moniker Mr. Marketing. But basically, what I do, Dr. Lou, I help small business owners and service providers do two things: utilize what they previously considered dead or greatly underused assets and resources. And I also help you generate more business without having to pay retail each time for new customers.
Interesting. Moving along, what is your client avatar? What are they searching for, running away from, frustrated, fed up with? How do you to get them to come and work with you?
Doing awesome podcasts like this. But basically, what I try to do is put content out into the marketplace and obviously referrals and let them know that some of the major issues, like they're spending too much on ads, they're getting, they don't have enough repeat business. They're upside down, meaning they're spending more than they're getting back and they're struggling and they're frustrated. And I want to show them how, with just a few tweaks here and there, they could take that frustration and make that cash flow like this, start getting more business more often and making more, not just earning more revenue, ladies and gentlemen, generating more profit. Because Dr. Lou will tell you, just because you bring a dollar in the door doesn't mean you're in profit. I want to show you how you don't have to spend that entire dollar. You might be able to do it for 40 cents and keep that 60% or more in your pocket.
Moving along, the one question I have for you is what is somebody that wants to improve their lead generation strategy? What should they be doing? Just broad picture.
A couple of things. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, before we even talk about lead gen, because that's very important, as you well know, the current customers that you have, you must realize that they know people who are your ideal customer, your ICP, your ideal customer persona, your avatar, whatever you want to call it. In other words, let's say Dr. Lou and I play golf together. If I can influence him or somebody influences him, when he comes to the golf course, he tells me, or vice versa. So the first thing I'm going to suggest you do is figure out how to get more revenue from your current customers.
Yeah, okay. And then the next question I have for you is you talked about how practically any aspiring entrepreneur can constantly benefit from consistently asking the magic question.
I'm going to try it out on you right now, Dr. Lou. They have no idea what I'm going to say. We'll see if this Mark Newsom, Mr. Marketing guy, has a good. Dr. Lou, is it okay if I periodically refer you new customers in business?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you heard his answer. Now, by the same token, as long as it doesn't take away from anything you're currently doing, are you okay with periodically returning the favor?
Sure.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. There's the magic question. But now here's a caveat. You don't go across the street with a vendor you've never done business with, offering them, asking, is it okay if you refer? You start with the vendors you currently have. And you ask them if it's okay for you to periodically refer them new business. In other words, you're asking them, are they open to you becoming a commissioned only affiliate for them? And if the answer is yes, and then you say, are you okay with returning the favor? What you want to do with those vendors, because think about it, they have customers, do they not? They have employees, and they have vendors who have customers and employees. You want to get your extremely time sensitive, that's the key, market tested, first time only customer discount coupon, gift certificate, whatever you want to call it, you want to get it in their hands. Because now you're avoiding all, Dr. Lou, how many times have you heard this? It'll take between 7 and 21 touches when you run traditional advertisement before anybody realizes what you're doing and potentially becomes a customer. I got news for you, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be broke by the time that happens. When you use a strategy like this, you're getting directly to the people you want to reach. And here's the other thing you tell them. You offer them, say, a discount. I'm just making this up for conceptual purposes only. You offer them a small discount, say 10%, if they come alone, up to $100 or X. But if they drag a friend who's at least 18, that 10% goes to 30% or X. So in other words, you ethically bribe them to bring somebody with them. This is the same as McDonald's saying, would you like fries with that? They don't get everybody. They don't have to get everybody. When McDonald's and all these other fast food restaurants now that's wised up says, would you like X with that? They're going to get 10 to 40% of their daily traffic to say yes. And then you know what else McDonald's did once they figured this out? They asked an additional question. They said, when you and I say yes to would you like fries with that, or would you like an apple pie, or would you like a medium? So they say supersize you. And another 10 to 15, 20% say yes. And they sell those supersized fries at retail, Dr. Lou. Now you look at that. And if you're curious, ladies and gentlemen, that's why the executives of McDonald's, their kids go to the best universities on the planet. They drive the best cars and they live in the biggest houses and they have big bank accounts. That simple 6-word phrase, would you like fries with that? Makes them money all day, every day. So the point is, when somebody comes into your store or buys online, you have an additional offer that, like you notice when you buy from Amazon, they say, hey, if you like that, you might also like this. That's why they do it. It makes money. And you don't have to be a mega corporation to at least test this strategy, right, Dr. Lou? You don't have to be a deep-pocketed Fortune 500 corporation to do this. It's simple, it's to the point, and it'll make you money and increase your cash flow. No two ways about it.
Interesting. So then the next question I have for you is when you talk about helping business owners, service providers monetize what was previously considered dead assets or resources, how do you do that?
Oh, excellent question. And I'm so glad you asked it. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of ways, but let's just use something simple because I want to make it practical enough that when you leave this podcast, you've got a game plan. You say, okay, I hear what he's saying. For example, let's say you have inventory you're going to put on closeout, which this is what most retailers do, right? They want to get it out of the store and they discount the price down to nothing and sell it. Instead, do this. Now, there's some laws. You got to be careful now. I don't want to just put this out here to have you something happen to. What do you think is, let me try this question on you, Dr. Lou. How do you sell a how do you sell a $5,000 home deluxe entertainment system, but gross $50,000 on it? One product. How do you do that? Here's how. You hold a raffle. Now you say, for joining our VIP opt-in email list, you only have a one-time fee of $500. But if you don't want to join our list, you don't have to. You can still enter the raffle, but you pay $2,000. Now, what would you rather do, ladies and gentlemen? Pay the one-time $500 fee or pay $2,000? So you jump on my list, you pay the $500, and let's say you get 50 people. Do the math. 50 times 500. Did he pay the hard cost for that stereo system or master bedroom suite or 65-inch television? Yes, absolutely. This is how you take what some people would say underutilized or quote unquote dead assets. Here's another, I won't say it's dead, but it's underutilized. Everybody, Dr. Lou, you, me, everybody has inactive customers. How do you coax them back? Maybe he has a product or service that he can tell me, Mark, add this to whatever you're doing and tell them for an extremely limited time, they come in and get your thingy and his thingy too. He gets introduced to a whole new audience for nickels, pennies on the dollar. I look good to my customers. I get goodwill and they go out and brag to their friends. Look what I got. Where'd you get that? Mark's Appliance. You go in there, you do this, and they give you this other thing. This guy's men's clothing store, whatever it is. Ladies and gentlemen, there is more synergy that's untapped, waiting for you or your major competitors to tap into it and make some money.
Interesting. Next question I have for you is, so you talk about this, how can aspiring business owners consistently benefit and profit from the internet without their own website or their own paid email service provider?
Excuse me, if I said without the email, I made a mistake, but whatever. Just because you don't have a website or you're not on LinkedIn, you still need email. So I apologize, that was a typo. What I was trying to say is, if you Get an and you don't, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Lou, let them know you don't need a website to have an email address. All right. You may not realize that, but that's true. But the point is, start building your own list. And the simplest way for you retailers to build a list and you service providers, offer a free drawing, but it's got to be something sexy now. You can't do some super low thing. They're not excited. You got to entice them. Have you ever gone in the grocery store and they got these good looking young women at the end of the aisle and they're offering samples? Why do you think they do that? Because they know for a percentage of the people they give a sample to, some of us are going to say, hey, where do I get that? They say, oh, aisle 5 or aisle 3 or over here, whatever. Some of us are going to upgrade and want to get the whole enchilada. So get your, and Dr. Lou, let me say this too, ladies and gentlemen. I know he's told you this, but I'd be criminal if I came on his podcast and I didn't hammer this home too. Ladies and gentlemen, unless your last name is Zuckerberg, you and I do not own these social media platforms. Do not try to build your entire business strictly using social media because your Titanic is headed for an iceberg. You're going to wake up one day and bam, your 500,000 TikTok followers, your 500,000 LinkedIn followers, your 500X followers gone. Your 500,000 Instagram followers gone. All that effort you put into it wiped out. So you want to leverage social media. What do you mean? You try to get them off the list by doing what we call a lead magnet, bait, in other words, it's grass, a giveaway that gets them onto your list. So then you can contact them as often as you want. And some people unsubscribe. So what? They probably weren't going to buy from you anyway. But the people who remain on your list, if you write offers that are relevant to them or affiliate products and services that are relevant to what they're doing, you're going to make some money.
Interesting. How can small business owners generate cash infusion without banks or private or institutional investors?
Let me do this one really fast because this one, ladies and gentlemen, I love this. I forgot I even put that in there, Dr. Lou. Thank you. Let me give you a simple example because this is mind blowing. If you really stop and think about it. Let's say Dr. Lou owns an upscale men's barbershop. This is where everybody goes. And ladies, just like with you with the hair salons, the men's barbershop is command central. We talk and argue about politics, women, sports, international, local, national, whatever the subject is, celebrities, entertainers, past former sports legends, current sports legends, current celebrity legends, all just like the women. We talk about all. We talk about who's going through the divorce, who just had a grandchild, who just had their second child, who's moving into a new house, who started a new business, who failed a bit, all of that stuff. So I said all that to say this. So Christopher has 5 stylists. He's the barber. He owns the business, but he's got 5 stylists. I'm the retail appliance store or owner. I get my, obviously I wouldn't get my hair done there, Dr. Lou, but I get my hair done there. He and I have known each other for years. And we talk everything. Hey, Mark, how's business? Like I say, Chris, I got something that I think you might be interested in. He said, what is that? I pull out a stack of 500 business cards. I said, here's what I'm going to do. You can do this any way you want. You can give my business card away because it's two-sided, but side A just has, the name of the business, blah, blah, blah. Side B says, mention Chris's barbershop and save X. I'm going to use 10%. However, simply for dragging a friend who's at least 18, you automatically save 40% or X up to $1,500 or X. I said, Chris, you put your name in the bottom right-hand corner so I know who it's from. I'm going to let you and any of your stylists who want to pass these out. You can do it 2 ways. You can just give it to your customers, or you can say, hey, when you spend X amount of money, you get the shave and the haircut, you get this coupon. It's got a 72-hour window, 3 days. It cannot be past 3 days or whatever today's date is, and it has to be dated. Now, here's the point. When they come in to redeem this, I see Christopher's name, he gets $50 per every lead that converts. Now, Christopher's smart enough to say, hey, wait a second. I can carry these things around with me wherever I go. And whenever I get into a conversation, I can ask who else wants to save some money on some retail appliance stuff. And here's what I'm going to do to sweeten the pot. I'm going to let Chris come into the store as long as he brings somebody with him. I'm going to let him pick out a 65-inch colored television at cost, a tablet at cost, as opposed to advertising. So now he's got a 65-inch television, an advertisement, a walking billboard in his house, and he's got a tablet. Is he going to spread the word? Yeah. You think the other stylists who get in on this, are they going to spread the word? Yeah. And here's the beauty of it. Every week, whoever delivers me the most customers, not who spent the most money, the most first-time customers, I'm giving them a $200 cash bonus. What? Every week after that, ladies and gentlemen, that they lead the pack, I'm going to double it. So you get $400 cash on top of the $50. Plus, when they reach the 11th customer, in other words, over 10, it's $75 cap from now on. Now, here's in case you're still wondering, what is this word not borrow the money? Christopher is smart enough to realize I could do this on the side and I could raise enough capital, $10, $15, $20,000. I don't need a small term loan from the bank, do I? No, you sure don't. And then what I would do, I'll take it a step further. Every 3 months, I'll call Chris up and say, hey, pizza's on me. What do you want? No, we want pepperoni. I buy 4 or 5 large cheese pizzas. So when his audience comes in, they come in and he says, hey, help yourself to pizza. And they say, oh, Chris, you sprung for pizza. He says, no, I didn't. The guy two stores down in this mini strip mall, Mark's Appliance Center, he bought that. What? Yeah, that's what he does. That's how you go. Now, remember, my competitors, you know what they're doing right now as we're on this podcast? They just ran a 30 or 60-second ad in your local market. Neither one of us saw it. And guess what? They still had to pay for it. I'd rather pay for results, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. That's how interesting it could be. And then what Christopher could do if he's smart, he puts his name on the back of the card, puts somebody else's name underneath it, and says, every time one of these shows up with both our names on it, I split it with. He gets 10 or 15 people to do this. It's commission only. They can do it when they want. Now he's raising enough. In fact, you know what else I'll do? Chris, because remember, I know my total lifetime customer value. And that's the other thing, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. I didn't because I got excited. Dr. Luke, ladies and gentlemen, go to Google or go to YouTube and put in what is total lifetime customer value, because you have to be able to know what you can afford. Don't ever pluck a figure out of the air and say, that's my advertising and marketing budget. That's a recipe for disaster. You got to know what you can afford. You don't spend $5,000 if your customer is only worth $3,000 over lifetime, right, Dr. Luke? You're going to go broke. People are with this Amazon stuff doing this all the time. Don't do it. Here's the other thing that I tell Dr. Luke that's really going to sweeten the pot. I say, Chris, every time you send me, I'll make up some 25 customers, himself, 25 customers in a month or 20 customers in a month, I'll pay your commercial lease for the month. What? So that means every person that sits in my chair is profit if you perform. Absolutely. Because I want to ethically bribe these guys into becoming my walking, talking billboards.
How can people connect with you and find out more about you?
Oh, my goodness. Excellent question. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to hang out online, please go to youcanmarketonlinenow.com. All one word. Don't skip any spaces. That is my self-hosted blog. Promise you there's more content and ideas on there than you and I can use in a lifetime. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I don't know if Dr. Lou will have my LinkedIn address in the show notes, but I can send it to him. But the point is, you can go to my blog. There's a ton of what I like to call low-cost, high-impact, non-traditional marketing strategies and tactics, just like what he and I talk about in this time together.
Excellent. Thanks so much. And thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
And my pleasure. Thank you for having me.